friends, in the next lecture on Hindi cinema study. In the earlier lecture, in part 1, we talked about the kind of developments which took place with the emergence of cinema and how the arrival of the cinematograph, the silent cinema, the contribution of Dada Sahab Phalke, and the various kinds of themes in the films where we talked about the mythological cinema. We also talked about the historical cinema and the films which were based on themes of history. We also talked about the contribution of some of the leaders of the national movement towards cinema, where we were talking about Mahatma Gandhi and how there were so many newsreels etc. which were made on the kind of activities in which Mahatma Gandhi was engaged. We also find that during this period from 1930s 40s there were so many filmmakers, those who were able to understand the kind of dynamics which were happening in the society, but they were also trying to communicate the mood of the national movement through the films. But as films are a money making position, that way it is an industry. When you are investing a lot of money, you also want some kind of returns. So some kind of a safety was also required by the filmmakers, and there were others, those who were critical of such kind of a cinema, that it was more escapist in nature. It was not trying to communicate the social, political, economic and other kinds of problems which are existing in the society. But we find that both kinds of cinemas, they existed. If on the one hand we had the escapist cinema, but on the other hand we had a number of films which were made by the filmmakers which were talking about the social reformist themes. Filmmakers like V. Shantaram, they made so many films which were talking about the ideas which were very, very important to the society. And we find during this particular period, when you talk about any kind of references about cinema, then Feroz Rangoonwala's 75 years of Indian cinema, Gautam Kaul's cinema and the Indian freedom struggle, then historical and biographical films, a symposium, T.M. Ramchandran's 70 years of Indian cinema, Aruna Vasudev's Liberty and License in Indian cinema, Film India, Vidya. These are some of the magazines, files in National Archives of India. So they will provide you, these are some of the readings, but there are numerous readings now, because there is a lot of scholarship on Indian cinema and how cinema is being taught in various universities across India, and people are conducting their PhDs and other kinds of research on cinema, so as to understand the society and also the find of connections between the various disciplines and cinema. And as we were talking about that how Gandhi was critical of cinema and considered it to be wise, and there were other leaders, those who were supportive of cinema, for example Tilak, who supported cinema, and at the same time he was also in a way praised the Swadeshi cinema which was made by Dada Sahab Phalke. Lala Lajpat Rai was also supportive of the films which were made, and we also find that Satyamurthy, one of the leaders, used cinema for party propaganda purposes. Then Sardar Patel, he was also in a way very supportive to the cause of cinema, and there was a film called Achut which was made in 1940 which begins with the speech of Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and he was also instrumental in terms of a film which was based on the life of Netaji Subhash Bose and how it could be reconstructed and shown in cinema halls later. So we find that how the national movement was in a way influenced by the filmmakers, in that sense that some of the filmmakers, they were taking themes from the national movement and trying to project them in a way. And we also find that some of the filmmakers, they were also members of some of the political parties as well, or they had sympathies with some of the political parties, and many of the films which were made by them, for example the stunt films by the Wadia brothers, JBH and Homi Wadia, and how Nadia, who became very popular with the Nadia Hunter Wali, and how we find that the titles of these films, they were also very provocative, and some kind of a patriotic fervor was also in them. Films like Azadi, Hind Kesari, Desh Deepak etc., they were in a way trying to communicate that the filmmakers, they were also understanding the ground realities of those times, and many of the many of the studios, they named themselves as Hind Mata Films, Indian Liberty, National Movie Tome. So all these kinds of titling of the films, as well as the cinema studios, also communicated the kind of the nationalist ideas which these people imbibed. And we find that when one is talking about the stunt films, then these stunt films, they were also advocating democracy, they were also talking about the nationalist and the patriotic ideas. And many a times in all these films, we find that during the climax scenes, some kind of a verbal confrontation was taking place between the protagonist and the antagonist, in which the rights of the people in terms of having democracy, that there should be good governance, the idea of justice and the freedom of the speech and expression, all these ideas, they were being advocated, they were being talked about, they were being communicated. And when the film finally ended, we found that the victory of the good over evil and the legitimate over illegitimate, it sharpened the people's desire for freedom. So we find that in many of the films, in the varied themes, for example mythologicals as well as the stunt, these kinds of ideas they were being promoted, and the filmmakers, they were also very aware during this time, and with much kind of an awareness, they were trying to communicate these ideas to the cinegoers. They were trying to communicate the plea for democracy, any kind of ideas which were against anti-fascism, and how women, they can be emancipated. And filmmakers like J.B.H. Wadia, they later communicated also that they were aware of these kinds of things, and definitely they wanted to make that kind of a cinema where they can provide such kind of message to the masses. Then apart from that, we also find that a number of films on the social reform idea, they were also being made, which were talking about the caste system, Hindu-Muslim unity, mismatched marriages. And as I told you earlier as well, that how there was a film called Reth, which was talking about untouchability and social inequality, and how the character of Mahatma Gandhi was shown by a person who played a central character in the film. And this film was later in a way censored, and it was titled as Khuda Ki Shaan, the glory of God. And thereafter there were other films as well which were made during this period, which were trying to communicate the ideas which were associated with nationalism. And we also see that when you are talking about the ideas of social reform, then some of the films which were dealing with the ideas of social reform, for example Achut Kanya, which was made in 1936, and it was trying to communicate the issue of untouchability and the intercaste barriers, and how Mahatma Gandhi had described colonial rule as a scourge and untouchability as a plague. So these kinds of ideas which were communicated by the national leaders, and how films, they were dealing with them in some way, they were trying to communicate the viewpoint of the ideals of the national movement. And I remember a film called Sujata, which was made in 1950s, which was dealing with the same theme of untouchability, and how the progressive ideas, they were also being shown in Sujata as well. So these kind of resonances which we find, because Achut Kanya was made in 1936 and Sujata was made in 1957 or 59, and this was around more than 20 years later this kind of film was made. So we find that filmmakers, they were also aware of the kind of problems which are happening in the society, and films like Kunukku or Duniya Na Mane, which were talking about the mismatched marriages in the society, and the female protagonist, which was played by Shanta Apte. Shanta Apte was tricked into marriage to an older person, and she was aware, because she was shown a wrong groom who was quite young, and she was married off to a very old person, and later she refuses to consummate her marriage to the old person and communicates that she is young enough to be his daughter. And finally, when the old man is not able to decide what to do, and finally he commits suicide. So I am talking about a film which was made in 1937, when divorces were not all that common. So this film was made by V. Shantaram, and V. Shantaram later also made films like Admi, which was made in 1939, and which was against the kind of ideas which were communicated by a film called Devdas, and how Devdas was some sort of a pessimist film, and how the protagonist got into alcoholism. So these kind of portrayals basically were trying to communicate that society has to be progressive in that sense, and society has to look forward in that sense, and this is what V. Shantaram's Admi wants to communicate. And at the same time, he also made a film called Padosi on the theme of Hindu-Muslim unity. And we also find that some films in Hindi as well as Marathi, like Brandy Chi Batli or Brandy Ki Bottle, was also made, and which was talking about the campaign against the liquor, that how liquor should not be consumed, and how it is some kind of a threat to the homes of the people. And they were connected themes of Charkha, and how the themes of slogans they were being used, and references to Mahatma Gandhi and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. They were also reflective of the mood of combat among the people. I remember watching this film long back, and how Brandy Chi Bottle or Brandy Ki Bottle, there are so many songs in the films which are talking about Mahatma Gandhi, they are talking about Vallabhbhai Patel, they are talking about these kind of references, where the miraculous powers which Gandhi had, they were also being talked about. And there were other films which were made by V. Shantaram. For example, I talked about Padosi, I talked about Admi. Thereafter, he also made a film called Dr. Kotnis Ki Amar Kahani, which was based on the life of a doctor who is sent to China, and how he is able to communicate that idea of a humanitarian approach during the times of war, and the way he handles his profession as well as life became some sort of an example during this time. But we also find that these kind of films, for example, Dr. Kotnis Ki Amar Kahani was a war effort film, because the British authorities they were not ready to provide the raw materials to the Indians during that time, during the times of war, and they wanted that war effort films should be made. Then only the filmmakers they will be able to get that kind of resources which were required to make films. There were other organizations like PWA and IPTA, Progressive Writers Association, and Indian People's Theatres Association, and all these associations, both of them, they made great contribution to the Indian cinema. The writers, those who were associated with the Progressive Writers Association, they brought out good themes, good scripts, so that when these films will be made on these scripts, then they will be able to do justice in terms of the cinematic portrayals. And how the people, those who were associated with theatre, they came into films, and people like Balraj Sahani, people like Shambhu Mitra, K. Abbas, they were associated with IPTA, and how these people, they also made a number of films as well. We also find in 1950s that there was a lot of influence with regard to the neorealist cinema, and this neorealist cinema, neorealism, was from the Italian influence, which was talking about the day-to-day themes, and how the actors they were used which were non-professionals, and outdoor locations, simple dialogues, and the kinds of issues which we find in the neorealist cinema of those times were the issues which were of day-to-day nature. And these films which were made by the filmmakers, for example, Do Biga Zameen, which was inspired definitely from Ladri Di Bicicleta or Bicycle Thieves of D. Sika, and how the struggle of a person to get back his 2 bighas of land from a money lender was also reflective of so many people, those who had mortgaged their land to the money lenders. And Jagte Raho again was a comment by Raj Kapoor in that sense on the society, that how society was communicating that everyone should be honest, but at the same time when it comes to their own self, then they were so dishonest, and what kind of nefarious activities they were taking place in a society. Then Pyasa was another important milestone in the context of the Hindi films which was made, and Pyasa and Kagaj Ke Phool and Sahib Bibi or Gulam, these were the films which were very, very popular, though they did not become popular when they came, when they were exhibited at that point of time, but over a period of time they attained a cult status. And how this kind of a cinema which was known as the neorealist cinema, and how some of the filmmakers, they got influenced by the neorealist cinema. For example, Bimal Roy, he made a number of films which were based on these themes, and some of the other filmmakers like Satyajit Ray, and Satyajit Ray also received Oscar for the Lifetime Achievement, and though he made a number of Bengali films, but he also made certain Hindi films as well. Apu trilogy, Pather Panchali, Aparajito and Apur Sansar were the trilogy with regard to the life of Apu, which was made by Satyajit Ray. But he also made Shatranj Ke Khiladi, which was talking about the period of the revolt of 1857, and so how he tried to situate the situation of Lucknow in this particular film. And he was a great filmmaker, not only in terms of communicating the kind of ideas which he had, but at the same time the way he portrayed the society in its simplest form. That was the hallmark of this particular filmmaker. We also find that other filmmakers like Bimal Roy and Gurudutt, they also made films like Do Bigha Zameen, Sujata, Devdas, and how these films, they became very, very popular among the masses. In 1935 also Devdas was being made in Hindi as well as Bengali by P.C. Barua, and in the Bengali version P.C. Barua was the main lead and K.L. Sehgal played the main lead in the Hindi version. And it was remade again by Bimal Roy in 1955 with Dilip Kumar and Madhubala, and how these filmmakers, they were trying to present that story in different times. And this film was also later made in closer to, I think, 2000, when it was made with Shah Rukh Khan and Madhuri Dixit and Aishwarya Rai. So we find that various kinds of films which were made at different points of time, how they were borrowing from literature as well, and how which was based on novel Devdas over a period of time, and how it was presented in different times. So that was an important concern. We also find that films which were made in 1950s like Sujata, as I already talked about, that it was based on untouchability and the theme of untouchability, and Do Bigha Zameen was talking about the rural poverty and the depeasantization, that how peasants, their lands, they were being encroached upon by the money lenders, and they did not have much resources. So in a way they will have to go back, they will have to go to the cities to earn their livelihood, and how in the conditions of the city, where they will be maltreated, where they will be exploited, they will not be able to lead their normal lives. So that was the kind of a portrayal which was in Do Bigha Zameen. There were other films, for example filmmakers like Mehboob Khan, who made Mother India, which was a remake of Aurat. Aurat was a film which was made in 1940, and films like Aan and Andaz, all these films, they were made by Mehboob Khan. And when you try to see the kind of ideas which are exhibited in these films, then Andaz was talking about the ideas of modernity and the openness with regard to women. So and how through a love triangle the Andaz was trying to communicate the ideas of modernity, and how tradition and modernity, they come into picture. Similarly, Mother India definitely was a remake of Aurat, which was made in 1940. But Mother India became some sort of a symbol at the times of post-independence, when in 1950s, when this film was made in 1957, and when this film came and the way it became popular, and how it was trying to communicate the image of India, that how a woman who toils in the entire life, and how her husband goes away leaving her with 2 kids, and how she fights in the entire in the entire village, and she becomes some sort of a symbol of Mother India, and she's not in a way trying to protect her own child in the last or in the climax, where she to protect the honor of a woman of the village, she in a way kills her own son. So these kinds of ideas, they were being reflected in some of these films, and there were other filmmakers like Raj Kapoor, who made Awara, Shri 420, Jaagte Raho, Prem Rog, and he was a great showman, and how Awara deals with the idea of heredity and environment. Then similarly, Prem Rog talks about the issue of the remarriage of widows, and all these kinds of problems, whether the issue of heredity and environment in the growing up or development of a human being, or the remarriage of a widow, they were all relevant at all times, and the filmmakers, they were very well aware about these things, and they were trying to communicate. And films like Naya Daur and Paigam, which were made during the 1950s, and both these films, Naya Daur as well as Paigam, they were trying to communicate an idea that how whether industrialization should took place, whether mechanization took place, and what is the role of the workers, and how the workers, they are to be treated. So this is what the film Paigam talks about, that they should be seen in, they should be given parity in the society, they should not be exploited. And Naya Daur talks about the conflict between the earlier the kinds of modes of transport and the new kinds of modes of transport. So this kind of a conflict between the earlier traditions and the modern kinds of maybe equipments could be very well reflected in Naya Daur. Then thereafter we see in late 60s, finally in early 70s rather, where Rajesh Khanna he becomes a super hit star, and the kind of mannerisms and the romantic image which has been given. When we talk about the era of 1970s, then Amitabh Bachchan is the one in 70s and in the 80s who is able to dominate the cinema and become one of the most successful superstars of the Indian cinema, and being awarded the star of the millennium. And thereafter his work continues even after that, the way he reinvented himself, and this reinvention could be seen in the 21st century, where roles were being written for him in different films. And 70s reflect the anti-establishment image, and the films which were trying to communicate this kind of an idea, films like Sholay, Diwar, Dawn, etc., all these films which became very, very popular. And we also find during this period that the middle class cinema and filmmakers like Hrishikesh Mukherjee, Basu Chatterjee, and films like Chupke Chupke, Golmaal, Khoobsurat, Bawarchi, Choti Si Baat, Rajnigandha, all of them, they were trying to communicate some kind of middle class values, and they were not only providing entertainment, but at the same time they were also trying to communicate that the society was functioning in a certain way. And these films, they also became very, very popular. And we also see during this period that how parallel cinema also came into being, and filmmakers like Shyam Benegal and Govind Nihalani, they played an important role in parallel cinema, and they were also talking about the issues of poverty, daily life struggle. And films like Ardha Satya, Akrosh, Ankur, Nishant, Manthan, to name a few, because there were so many others apart from the other filmmakers, apart from Shyam Benegal and Govind Nihalani, those who were making some kind of a parallel cinema, and they were trying to communicate that ideas, that how the issues of poverty and the daily life struggle of the masses, they were also very, very important. During the later times, we also find that how Rajnikant became very, very important, and so many dubbed films, and how his popularity did not remain only in the south of India, but at the same time with the dubbed films, so many people could also see the dubbed versions. And we also find that especially in the 1990s, there were a lot of changes in the themes and the presentations, because that was the age where we talk about the globalizations, and films like Tare Zameen Par, films like DDLJ, films like Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, which were being made for the NRI audience. So all these films, they were trying to communicate that cinema was also very, very glossy, and how the NRI audience and the diaspora in the developed world, the way they wanted to see that cinema. And many of the films, they were showing a lot of brand placements, that how brands they were being positioned in the films. So this was happening in the earlier times as well, but in the later times we find that this kind of positioning, it became more open, in that sense that many a times that a particular brand or a product is being repeatedly shown, so that its impact on the masses could be seen. And during the times of globalization, we also see that the arrival of so many production houses, with the coming of the multiplexes, and with these multiplexes and the production houses, we find that there were changes in the exhibition, the way films they were being exhibited. And some films with low budget could also be made, because now multiplexes with the capacity of 100, 150 made it possible to make low budget cinema, because in one big multiplex we will have 4 to 5 screens, where with small auditoriums films could be exhibited. Now you did not have big screens of 1000 and 1200 and 1500 where film will not be able to sustain. So the films on target audience, films based on target audiences could also be made. We also find that there was also a market for the animation, and how in the animation sector mythology was also being shown. Films like Bal Ganesh, Shri Krishna, they were also being made, and there were other films like Chota Bheem, Tenali Ram. All this kind of cinema was also being made. So when we tend to understand that how cinema is to be seen in India, how it is reflective of the Indian culture, and Indian cinema industry is one of the largest film industries of the world in terms of the films which are being made. And in India, when you tend to understand, we see that films, they are being made in so many languages. They are not only made in Hindi, but they are made in so many other languages as well, be it Marathi, be it Bengali cinema, or South Indian, you have Telugu, Tamil, Kannada. So all industries which are thriving, and the way the films they are being produced, that is also enormous. And we also find that with the kind of changes which have come in the recent times, with the coming of the OTT platform, the way various kinds of OTT platforms, they are purchasing the films, and they are showing those films on that particular kind of a platform. Many of the films are not getting even released on the screens, so films are made for that. And with the arrival of the technology, we find that the way handheld cameras and cheaper cameras have come nowadays, competitions are also being held with regard to films which are made with the mobile phones as well. So this kind of a development which is happening is a kind of a monumental journey with regard to the Indian cinema, and the journey continues even now. So with this, I would like to end the discussion. Thank you very much.